You're listening to Protecting What Matters, a podcast by the Ohio Department of Commerce. Commerce is Ohio's chief regulator, and we play a vital role in keeping you safe by protecting your property, your money, and some of the products you use every day. This podcast is designed to bring awareness to important issues and help educate consumers and businesses. Join us as we chat with trusted industry experts focused on providing you with the tools you need to help you protect what matters most in your life.
And so I think stigma remains a real challenge in our state and is likely the root cause of this disconnect that we're seeing with our advisors. And you probably have clients that are just not comfortable talking about it with their advisor because they don't know how their advisor might react. So you have advisors left scratching their head when their client comes in and unexpectedly asks to withdraw significant sums of money from their investment accounts.
Welcome to Protecting What Matters, a podcast by the Ohio Department of Commerce. I'm Dan Orzano. I'm Manager of Investor Education Outreach and Communications for the Division of Securities. And joining me today is Ohio Securities Commissioner Andrea Seidt. Welcome, Andrea.
Well, good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me here.
No problem. So we're recording this podcast on the 26th, but this past Tuesday, the 23rd, we announced a new awareness campaign. Can you share with our listeners some highlights about the campaign and what it means for Ohioans?
Of course. So earlier this week, we announced the Recovery Within Reach campaign, which is our effort to educate both consumers and financial advisors about the financial effects of opioid misuse. In previous campaigns, which I'm sure our listeners have seen, Ohio agencies like Recovery Ohio have partnered with other organizations to promote awareness and to reduce stigma. In this campaign, we are focused on getting Ohio families into treatment and navigating the financial aspects of that process. And as you know, Dan, some people never make it into treatment because they're not sure where to go or how to pay for it. Others are digging themselves into financial holes by not utilizing common forms of financial assistance, things just like insurance. We want our Ohio financial advisors to be able to spot families in need, and then we want them to guide them to affordable treatment options in their area.
That's fantastic. So how are you going to get the advisors engaged?
Well, we have lots of ideas about that. So on Tuesday, we shared 2 PSAs that are going to run on social media and on TV stations throughout the state. And those PSAs are a direct appeal to our financial advisors. The PSAs give the advisors and everyone else as well in the audience the web address for our campaign website, and that is recoverywithinreach.ohio.gov. And the website has lots of resources specifically for financial advisors and the public at large. One of the things we're really proud about and we hope that the advisors like on the website is this interactive map. Advisors and consumers can use this map to search for treatment facilities in their area. They can just do a simple zip code kind of search. There are also useful resource sheets and other helpful tips to help financial advisors get the conversation started with their clients.
So Andrew, you mentioned the public service announcements that were recorded. Why don't we go ahead and take a listen to one of those?
We all have plans for life, but the disease of addiction is never part of the plan. The road to recovery can be long and often not a straight line, but access and cost should never be barriers to recovery. Ohio's new treatment locator makes it easier to find treatment and navigate the cost. Recovery is within reach, Ohio. Find treatment at recoverywithinreach.ohio.gov. This message is paid for by the Ohio Department of Commerce.
So that's a lot of information and material, which is really good. So I want to kind of go back to the beginning. Why did the division launch this campaign? And can you share some background on how it all came together?
Sure. So when Governor Mike DeWine came into office, he challenged all state agencies to find ways to help Ohioans recover from the epidemic that we see in our state. And so when our director, Sherry Maxfield, came and delivered that call to me, I knew that the financial services industry would have a lot to offer. And the first thing I thought about was a series I saw run a few years ago by a trade publication called Investment News. And they run a series on the opiate crisis, highlighting the financial impact that the crisis had on families across the country and how financial advisors in our country really were not well equipped to deal with this situation. And it was the first real demand for industry training that I can remember hearing about on this topic. So as you know, Dan, I'm a securities regulator. I am not a substance use expert by any measure. So I knew that we would need to get a better handle ourselves on the local situation here in Ohio. And Ohio, as you know, is one of the states that's been hardest hit by the opiate crisis. So we surveyed our Ohio advisors to gauge their awareness of the problem in the state. We wanted to see if they knew whether they had clients dealing with the problem. We knew that they did. We also wanted to see if they were knowledgeable about treatment options and cost, and if they were interested in getting some training in this area.
I remember that investment news series. It was a really good series that I think surprised a lot of people just in general, and also from the survey that they did. Can you share some key things that we found out from the survey that we did?
Sure, yeah. So the key finding, in my opinion, is that our Ohio advisors are greatly underestimating the impact that opioid use disorder is having in their communities. Dan, you and I, we hear about it and read about it every day. We know that 1 in 13 Ohioans has a substance use disorder, but our financial advisors are only estimating about 1% of their clients are impacted. That can't be right. That simply does not add up. And so I think stigma remains a real challenge in our state and is likely the root cause of this disconnect that we're seeing with our advisors. And you probably have clients that are just not comfortable talking about it with their advisor because they don't know how their advisor might react. So you have advisors left scratching their head when their client comes in and unexpectedly asks to withdraw significant sums of money from their investment accounts.
So from an advisor standpoint, why would taking money out of an account be an indication that something's not right?
Well, most people are working with advisors to build and accumulate wealth for their retirement savings. It takes years of planning and work and commitment in order to accumulate that wealth. So when they're deviating from that plan, it really is a surprise. To me, it's a warning sign that something might be amiss with the family, a sign that the client might be forced to deviate from the plan for some unexpected reason. Now, I know there could be lots of reasons for deviations, and our financial advisors deal with a lot of different crises in their clients' lives, but one of the reasons that they might be overlooking is opioid misuse in the family. Mm-hmm. And so we talked with a family recently who, and thanks to you, Dan, we've been getting a lot of calls from people who are really, in support of this campaign because it's resonating with them. But in this family, they had to repeatedly pull money out to buy cars because their son kept totaling his cars when he was driving impaired. And I think that may be a common occurrence with people who are dealing with the disorder. So if we have an advisor trained to spot these recurring unexpected withdrawals as a warning sign, because that's what it is, and then they're trained on treatment options, trained on how to effectively broach the subject with their client, then that advisor is in a unique position to help the client get their son into treatment and avoid future car accidents and other negative outcomes. Financial advisors may be the only one that have that clue because they're the one helping them with their financial assets.
Yeah, you're right. I've been getting some phone calls and emails since the launch on Tuesday from advisors. I got one just the other day from a gentleman up in Northeast Ohio who retired, and he told me a story about his daughter, he had to help her recover, and he's got really good industry insights, so we're going to talk to him some more and see how we can use him, because he did agree about the training element. He thinks that's really critical, as I think we all do. But one important thing you brought up, I wanted to ask you if you have a sense of why advisors aren't picking up on the signs and doing more to help the clients who are struggling with the opioid disorder.
I think it's as simple as they just haven't been trained yet, Dan. Just like the advisor who reached out to you, I agree with him 100%. We know from our survey that only 10% of our Ohio advisors have received training of any kind on opioid use disorder. So just a small fraction of them have received some initial training. But thankfully, most of our advisors, at least 74%, said they are interested in getting that kind of training if we offer it. So that's what we're doing. We're developing a training right now that will roll out later this year to train our advisors to recognize the signs of addiction, train them on how to have those sensitive conversations with their clients, and most importantly, train them on how to connect their clients in need with resources in their communities for treatment and other addiction-related services.
Are there any other things that you think the advisors can do to address this issue with their clients right now?
Yeah, one of the things I mentioned I was really excited about was that map that is on our website. Again, that website is recoverywithinreach.ohio.gov. Advisors can use that map today, right now, to help their clients search for treatment options and assess what the payment costs would be. There's also an advisor page on our website with information such as the top 10 things advisors should know before talking to their clients about addiction, as well as a comprehensive list of other resources that are available at the state and the federal level. And it's important, Dan, to remember that this website, our great map, and these other resources are not just available to financial advisors, they're available to everyone. You don't need a financial advisor to access and benefit from these tools and these resources. This campaign is for all Ohioans who need help.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it's important that consumers understand that they can go into the website and find all kinds of information and use the map themselves, to get started if they have any questions or want to know more about where to find treatment options in their area. So it sounds like you've covered the issue pretty well. In the few minutes we have left, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know?
Sure. We want everyone to understand that addiction is a disorder. It is never part of anyone's plan. The first step to winning this fight against addiction in our state is getting people to open their eyes, judge less, and care more. That's what the Denial Ohio and Beat the Stigma campaigns were all about. The second step is getting our loved ones into treatment, and that is what this campaign is all about. Our map is going to show people where to go. Yes, some forms of treatment are more expensive than others, but cost should never be a barrier to recovery. Our loved ones are just too important. We have to figure this out. With this campaign, we will connect Ohioans with the information and the resources they need to obtain treatment. And with treatment, recovery is within reach.
That's terrific. Well said, Andrea. So I want to thank you for sharing some of the details about the campaign and also remind listeners to visit the website recoverywithinreach.ohio.gov for more information. So thanks for listening to this episode of Protecting What Matters.